How big is this compared to any other project that we've seen in this area?
This doesn't compare to any other project we've seen in the area. Like we thought when the first ones came in, the $2.5 billion and $2 billion petrochemical plants that were coming in, this dwarfs them. This is 7,000 acres of data center, and we're talking 600 to 1,000 full-time jobs at the end, just on site. So when you factor in all the service and everything else, it's not going to compare to anything else to what it's going to do to this region.
I'm Mark Street, and this is Economy Now. This is where we cover people, projects, and business, stuff that's affecting our community. And we talk to entrepreneurs and the people that support the entrepreneurs in actually making projects come. And so today we're talking about a really exciting one. Of course, it's the Greenview Industrial Gateway, or the GIG. It's called the GIG. And it's a world-class project as far as Wondervalley, and of course we're going to be hitting on that as well. But here with me is Tyler Olsen, who's the Reeve of Grand Cache. And so maybe if you want to start with that, tell us what the Reeve is.
So actually I'm the Reeve of the MD of Greenview.
Okay, thank you.
Elected as a councillor out of Grand Cache to represent Grand Cache as my ward.
Okay.
We've got 9 different wards within the MD of Greenview.
Okay.
And every year I've been lucky enough this is my 4th year as Reeve from within council. Every year in our organizational in October, we elect our Reeve, and I've been successful the last 4 years.
Okay, and you're saying that it's kind of like a mayor. A lot of people would call it like a mayor.
It's just another term. I'm the spokesperson. I'm the pretty face for the MD of Greenview.
Okay, so lots to talk about. Of course, there's this project that's world known. I mean, that's going to be getting a lot of attention with this Wondervalley. But maybe we'll start off with the GIG, and we're going to do it kind of using an acronym, and it's now. So N is what has been to what's now or what's current. O is opportunity. So what could happen the next 6 months, a year, or 2 years, or that kind of thing. Kind of closer up. And then where do you see Grande Prairie or MD of Greenview? Of course, all of that kind of is the Grande Prairie region. Where do you see us going in the next 2 to 5 years, probably obviously impacted by the GIG and by Wondervalley and other projects. But starting with the GIG, can you tell us a little bit about that?
So the GIG has actually been going, it predates myself on council. It's 10, 12 years in the process of getting this all set up.
Yeah.
And it started out as the Municipal partnership between the City of Grande Prairie, County of Grande Prairie, and the MD of Greenview.
Okay.
It was a big idea we were missing out on investment in the area.
Okay.
There's a Saudi company that had tried to start something, and it was just too red tape involved.
All right.
Couldn't get land, couldn't get everything fast enough. So we started out, and the whole thing was to upgrade our natural gas here. Keep our jobs, keep the revenue, everything. We produce so much gas in this area and all the servicing. We have the right people here to get petrochemical plants in here.
Okay.
Instead of sending all our gas to the Edmonton area, let's keep it here, upgrade it, send it out here. So the petrochemical was our first thought. That's where the goal always was. And we had about 3.5 years ago, Northern Petrochemical and Cirillon were our big announcement when we signed the land deal with the province. And it's taken years to go. These big projects take time.
Right.
They're not off call it the shelf, but they're not ready to go.
Okay.
They're not yet. There's still hurdles that they have. Whether or not they'll go, I don't know. These projects always find hurdles, different things as life changes.
Right.
We now have IFS, Interprovincial Fuel Solutions, which is still working through theirs. That was last year's announcement, and they're getting close.
And that's a big project.
That is another big project. That's turning natural gas into synthetic gasoline.
Okay.
And they have scaled up their project since they first started. So they're now looking, I think they're close to $1 billion investment and everything when they go. And none of these are crossed off. Mm-hmm. Whether or not they'll go, I don't know. But the big one is the Wondervalley. And that's changed the scope of everything we ever thought or dreamed of this area.
Yeah.
When you think of turning natural gas into something else, you think petrochemical, power, all that stuff, which was the draw for it. But in essence, we're now turning natural gas into data.
Right.
Because when you turn it into power and that's what it needs, the power turns all the computers into data, and we just never even thought about.
Yeah, it was never even on the radar.
No, it
Yeah.
wasn't.
Yeah.
And when it was approached, it just took off. But it's only coming to this area because of all the hard work over the last 10 to 12 years
Right.
that's
Yeah.
paid off.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, we're kind of on that, what is or what has been and what's led up to right now. And obviously these are mammoth projects that are coming in, that it is attracting attention. And as you said, it's like initially maybe the target was entirely different than what actually has shown up. And it was the biggest project that's ever been announced in Canada. I mean, it's fantastic. And here we are 40 kilometers away sitting in Grande Prairie right now.
Yeah, so that's what they're touting. I haven't done the research on behind it because I'm still trying to wrap my head around everything else, but they are talking the biggest project in Canada. What it did for the Greenview Industrial Gateway, like talking to Kyle Riling, our director for it, his LinkedIn, his everything has just exploded over the last 2 months.
People know who he is now too. Everybody knows, right?
We
Around the world.
were slowly growing, and then this just exploded it to put it everywhere.
It's the field of dreams, right?
We found a Korean article that was talking about us.
Wow. So around the world, quite literally.
Yes.
Yeah. What is out there that is so attractive? I mean, obviously to AI, I've heard a lot of things, but a lot of those things would translate over into oil and gas and other businesses that the gig will be looking to attract. Can you talk about some of those?
So we started out, we bought 2,000 acres from the province.
Okay.
So that in itself took us 2.5, 3 years. So when you're a business coming in and you want to hit your FID, your financial investment decision, you don't want to be waiting 3 years to make it. So we took that away. 3 years, we can sell the land as a private, and you know how fast private land can be sold. Mm-hmm. So you lose a lot of steps. We've done the consultation. We have the area structure plan all approved. We've got water licenses going through. We've spent 5 years on water. So if you can imagine a corporation or a company coming in that wants to build a project, now you've got 3 years of land, 5 years of water. We've taken care of that. So there's everything moving ahead. There's still a lot of permitting they have to do. We can't do their environmental permits. We'll have the surveying done. We've got wetlands allocated, everything that way. We've got rail ready to go. We've just taken out so many chunks of these now. That's what has attracted.
Yeah. There was kind of that focus of what you were actually targeting, and then all of a sudden it's like some luck, but as defined, I heard it defined where preparation meets opportunity. It turns out that all this preparation was opening you up to something unbeknownst, like you never even, is that right? Like nobody even saw this as a thing.
Well, we didn't see it. There was conversations I had in Edmonton right around the time the province really started looking, about 6-8 months ago. They started going into it, and there was conversations that maybe it could be a possibility, and we were so heavy into it, I didn't really think anything of it. Yeah. It's in the back of our minds, and you see it, and you just don't think about it. And then when Kyle went and did this presentation in Calgary to a group of companies, and then it just took off about 3 months ago, and 3-4 months, and they said this is exactly what we've been looking for. So they've been working on this project for a while. They've looked all over the States, all over Canada, trying to find places all over the world. And then they got introduced, saw it, and it's just taken off.
Yeah, so I've heard that there's been NDAs, so the day that I found out about it, I was like, holy smokes, this is huge, I'm the first to know. It's like, no, I wasn't the first to know. There's all sorts of people that were under non-disclosure agreements that were actually working on it. You were probably one of those people. And so it
was a hard secret to keep for a while.
It would be a hard one to keep, yeah. So how far back do you think that people were under NDAs?
Their project, they've been looking for a while.
Okay.
Now, I don't know how long they've been looking, but it's been something on their target for a while. Like I said, they've looked all over the States. They put a lot of research into it.
Yeah.
And then on our part, it's only been about 3 or 4 months.
Okay, so let's talk about opportunities, so maybe things that's going to attract. Do you have a feel for what that could attract to our areas?
There is, and they blow me away with some of the numbers that we see, like over the 10-year project. So even if we just base it off of 30 years for one phase, which is just a generation of, I think, 1.5 gigawatts and one data center, that could be could be, they're saying, around $22 million in wages. Just wages for just that.
Yeah. How many people?
So they're talking for the construction, the full build out of about 10 years, or about 2,000 to 4,000 jobs for that entire time.
Yeah.
Full-time jobs afterwards is about 100 to 150 per phase. And there's about 6 phases.
Okay.
6 or 7 phases. So that is strictly what ties into the data center.
Yeah.
Now you factor in, I'm hearing that some of those wages, when you talk data centers, are saying around their normal wage is about 2 times higher.
So
it'll attract, it's a tech sector, right? So I don't know what it's going to attract, what it's going to change, but it's going to bring the opportunity. So all the service industries that it's going to have to service all the generators, all the generation equipment, it's going to be phenomenal. I can't even wrap my head around half the numbers that they're throwing out there in people, but it's got to get going first and then we'll see. But the opportunities are going to be that crazy. And you talk about into the scholarships they're talking about and working with the Polytechnic here and what it'll do for some of their courses and the opportunities for our youth in this area is a big thing. We started all of this because we wanted to keep everything in the region.
Yeah.
Give the opportunity to the region.
Yeah.
And so now we're finally we're gonna see that and what it's gonna do for our region as a whole, what it's gonna attract, and what we're able to keep and maintain here in ourselves.
Where do you see Grande Prairie, maybe in the next 5 to 10 years, as far as Wondervalley, but what do you see that attracting to our region, and where could Grande Prairie be in 5 to 10 years? Maybe population or
population, I don't know, but when you start thinking about what it could bring, like I know the city has done a lot of preparation, even the county has done a lot of preparation to make sure there's land available, industrial, commercial, residential, it's all available. So it's ready to go from the last boom we had. I don't even know, but when you start bringing in, even if it was 1,000 jobs, what that does for families, now you're 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people because you affect the spin-off jobs. So to see huge population growth over the next 10 years, I don't think is out of the question.
Right. I've seen there's been lots of support for this. I mean, I saw an article, CSV, I've seen that, I don't know if you want to talk about their involvement, but I saw that there is an article with CSV mentioned in there, Canadian fiber optics, those.
So Canadian fiber, coincidentally, like when I first started in Grand Cache, we needed fiber internet because our internet was horrible. And so they put a line in from Grande Prairie to Grand Cache, and now they're going to reap the benefits of having a fiber line that can handle this. So some of it's sheer luck, but they also were banking on the gig too, because even petrochemical plants, or you put big stuff, it needs consistent, good internet. So maybe they thought about data centers, I don't know, but it's perfect. Like we've been called the unicorn for them over and over, and it's got everything. So that fiber line that runs from Grande Prairie to Grand Cache, it couldn't have been put in at a better time.
So we have these industries that seem to be supporting it, like those two that I mentioned. There's been other ones too that are, maybe you want to talk about CSV as well, but it seems that there's government support. There's the municipality.
It took us a while, but we got government support now.
Okay.
We had to
federal specifically then, or
more provincial because all the power generation, the policies they've put in.
Yeah.
They've pushed for this, so it's lined up because all the generation is going to be behind the fence. Okay. They're even talking that they could, any extra, they'll be putting back into the grid. So we could see even more benefits than you're originally thinking.
Okay.
But it took us 12 years to get here. The first 5, 6, 7, 8 years, we were beating against walls, doors, anywhere we can get to get provincial attention to take us seriously.
So you have that provincial support now. You have the municipal support. I'm fair to say that Kevin O'Leary is not a fan of our current federal.
No, he's pretty vocal about that.
It looks like that's about to turn over, and so he'll have the federal support. So it seems like there's so much support behind this in all these ways. How certain do you feel about this project actually going forward?
It's going to take a lot to slow this train down. And when you've got all the partners in the area, like you talked about the provincial, the municipal partners, the city, the county that have been just tremendous with us. Anything we need, they're helping out where they can. But when you get into the oil field side and the other partners, the CSVs that have stepped up to do their parts, all the oil companies that have, nobody's balking this. And that's the big thing. Everyone's doing whatever they can. Everybody wants a piece.
There's a lot of energy.
But there's a lot, everybody knows they're going to have their roles. And even if they don't get involved, what's this going to do? We've got all this stranded gas and the pipelines are 3/4 full, or full is what you're always hearing. Well, this is going to take this gas here. So now the drilling programs are going to be able to maintain or grow over the next years to make sure all the gas is here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just going to compound everything, and everybody's behind it. There's always the naysayers.
Yeah.
And until they put shovels in the ground,
Yeah.
we've had projects come through here that don't go.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always that chance, but I don't see this train slowing down.
Okay, and when will you say, okay, this is for sure happening?
So we have a letter of intent that's
Yeah.
signed. So
Yeah.
we're working through the contracts now, all the lawyers. I mean, I don't have anything to do with that. I just get told where things are.
Okay,
But I would guess that you'll see a contract sale in the first quarter, would be my hope. And then that gets them, they have the land, they buy the land, but within that contract, there's different steps they have to hit too, so that they can't just turn around and sell it to someone else. This isn't just a normal sale where you can buy it and turn around and sell it because of all the attention it's getting.
right.
So they're going to have to hit steps too, and that'll be hitting their FIDs, their builds, their contracts. But I think after that, then you'll see hopefully within 2 years, I'm hearing that's a big goal, within 2 years to be producing electricity.
In 2 years, yeah.
But it also depends on supply of products that they have. You got to get generators, you got to get everything in here.
So supply chain, you mentioned
Yeah.
earlier, and so it's actually for this stuff to be produced, to get it actually physically here and in place.
Yeah, but when you have big players involved, it'll be interesting to see how that changes the supply chain.
Yeah, right. And you have talked about the competency of O'Leary and his group.
The few people I've met through this, it amazes me. Like, this is worldwide people coming into our area. You're talking people from Berlin, from Dubai,
Yeah.
Toronto, the States, everywhere. He has the best of the best.
Yeah.
That's how he gets things done. So that's why this train is not going to slow down. I don't think it'll pick up speed. And when we bring up problems or questions, or they have questions, they get answered. And that's the thing that they've been impressed with the most with our director, is the way he set everything up. Every question that's been thrown at him, he's been able to answer. Everything problem they thought they've been able to have, they've been answered. So that's why this area is taken off, is all the pre-work, and that involved everybody around here.
Wow. And then 10 years, and maybe that's the completion of, have you heard of how big that project is?
So they're talking, I believe it's 12 billion for the first phase, which would be phase one. That'll be the 2-year one. Then every year after that, they're adding a gigawatt of power. They're talking 6 or 7 phases. So that'll be the 10-year project build
Okay.
out of it. And that's the 70 billion. Now, then you get your contracts for all the computer processing and all the actual data center involvement in it.
Yeah.
We'll just bring everything above and beyond that 70 billion once it's done.
What specifically would CSV, what role are they wanting to play?
So they're a midstream provider. So they would be able to, if they are the chosen one, it'd be no different than the ARCs or the CNRLs. They're gas providers. So CSV would be able to provide the gas to the data centers for generation. So they could take from whatever companies and sell it to them.
One of the ancillary businesses that would actually support that, and there's going to be a few of those, and new ones too, obviously.
Which would mean they would need another plant.
Yeah.
Which we all know big gas plants are not cheap to be able to do. It just compounds when you think a $70 billion project, and then, okay, now you need a gas plant. Now you need all the service providers that need to come to the area, the contractors to build it, a 2,000 to 4,000 man camp that needs to be there for 10 years. It just keeps going. And then you got to get all the pieces here.
Mm-hmm.
So there's already been talk about what about the airport? What role does that play?
Mm-hmm.
Because all of a sudden when you're bringing in all these people and you have to have international people, is that something that needs to be put on the fast track?
Right.
Who knows? There's just so much talk right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to wrap your head around what this is going to do for this community in this region.
Yeah. Has there been some sort of mantra that's been like, okay, no, we're going to see this through and keep it going, and something that's kind of kept you going?
This council and even the previous council for the MD of Greenview this has always been their, not a dream, but the belief that we could build it and they'll come. We've put, there was 50 million into Highway 40 that was put in for the twinning and everything that we partnered with the province and with the city and the county of Grande Prairie. So when you put that into perspective, plus we've built roads, we've done all the engineering for a lot of different things. I believe we're north of 70 million that the MD has put in to make this project go. When you equate with the highway as well. The highway we knew this region needed it. Highway 40 was a death trap before. And now this twinning is going to help. So all that stuff and this previous council and then now this council, we have just made sure that we knew something was going to happen. When? We didn't know. There was all these projects coming, and then this is just going to be the icing on the cake, and it's going to complete it and bring it around and attract everything. So it's finally paying off, and what it's going to do for the region. We did this for the region, what it would do for the jobs, the people, the opportunity. We never gave up on what it would be, even when, we've had hurdles that we haven't got things approved and done different things. You change and you pivot and you go a different direction. And that's what this is. When you see the petrochemicals were there and they're moving, this is a huge pivot to be able to do now the data.
Yeah.
So it changes, but with our council willing to move with it and the administration, the way they bring things forward for us, I can't say enough good about the councils of the region and the support, and especially my council and the administration. What they've been able to do to bring this forward has just been tremendous.
Yeah. So if somebody wanted to learn more about this, obviously there's the gig. That's a big deal. The Greenview Industrial Gateway. If they want to learn more about that, or maybe obviously Wondervalley, there's lots of information all over the world on that, it seems. And but how could they learn more, I guess?
Easiest way is to the Greenview Industrial Gateway website.
Okay.
And even if you Google MD of Greenview or Greenview Industrial Gateway or Wondervalley, it's going to come up with so much. But we have our website going with the Greenview Industrial Gateway, and on there is also a vendor list. So we've been collecting vendors from the region, and we've been trying to get it out there. I hammer this home every time I can whenever we're at meetings or different people. There's a vendor list, and that's how these people coming in, no matter what it is, whether it's Wondervalley or the new companies that come in, they'll be able to get access to that vendor list. And on there, it's going to show who's local, how far away, what can be offered. So it's our way of promoting everybody within that region.
Wow, that's so great. For all the companies that are actually physically here right now, it's like you want to get on that list.
Yes, and we've been promoting that since day one of this Greenview Industrial Gateway. That's what we wanted, because all the companies coming in, they want to be local. Even Wondervalley, they want to do local. That's their big drive. That's our big thing, because that's what we're doing this for the people here.
Okay.
Question for me. I'm a power engineer by trade.
Oh,
So
no, you should have just asked.
we're still growing.
Okay.
So on like the gigawatt scale, like, because I have access to the grid, like we send electricity to the grid, like a gigawatt on, like, say if like your natural gas went down, like the grid wouldn't even be able to supply that plant.
It's not going to be hooked to the grid.
No, I know, but like say if you like went down, right, like that, I'm just saying that's the scale of it, is like our Alberta grid would not be able to support that plant.
No, and that's the only way this is going
How
ahead.
much is that? Sorry, how much? How much?
Like our biggest power plant in Alberta produces about 800 megawatts. There's 1,000 megawatts in a gig. So like, if you were to say if that gas were to go down, they wanted to keep that plant, then we'd all have to turn the lights off in our house.
So the gas it's going to burn is about 144 million cubic feet per day, about 538 billion cubic feet a year per phase of what it's going to.
That's insane.
It is, and that's what I'm saying. The numbers, 90% of people aren't going to be able to wrap their head around what these numbers are actually doing, but they run it off of 5 nines. So they have to be up and running 99.999% of the time. So I believe it's 14 seconds a month that their allowance is for downtime.
Wow.
So they're going to have backup generators for it. So, and they're going to have extra generators. So
Bunch of diesel
one goes
generators in
down,
place, yeah.
and even I would imagine they'll have extra of the natural gas. So when they have to go down on one, they'll be running another one. Like it's all the stuff they're going to have. It's the fail safes and backups are going to be the extra.
Like even like to think of it on a cooling scale, like the cooling water you'll need for all those generators and like all that. Like there's so many different intricacies to like actually creating that much power that like it's astronomical to think about.
Yeah.
Like our power plant that I work out of town is a first class power plant, and it's rated for like 20 megs. And the 1 megawatt hour is about 1,000 homes an hour, so a gigawatt is
About 1 million homes is what they're saying
1 million homes.
for 1
An hour.
gigawatt. For 1 gigawatt of power.
So people wise, it's like 3 million.
And that was what the concern was with all this is, okay, and even the little ones down by Calgary that are trying to get on the grids can't supply it. That's why this doesn't work anywhere else in North America. So when you start to factor in how much gas you need, the water, the fiber, the everything. Now the water that they're using, our water license is going to be 24 million cubes per annum, but that's less than 0.25% of the flow rate of the Smoky River. It's an underutilized river in that respect. So our permits are coming through. I believe it's partially the way through. Like I said, we've been 5 years. We're engineering outtakes so that it's done once. We'll go into the Smoky only once for this outtake for the whole permit. So it's not every few years you're disturbing everything. It's done once, done to oversized, and that has been the goal from the start. Is we do everything environmentally, you do it once, and
Well, and then too, as far as the cooling, I guess we were minus 27.
that plays a big role too. Is the weather for 8 months of the year? We have our hard times, but 8 months of the year it's colder, so it helps with everything. And then the water they use will be heating and cooling. So they've made it clear that they want this to be. I mean, there's a lot of money. It'll be aesthetically pleasing. There's going to be trails. It's going to be very similar to everything you see down the States. This is going to be a campus of 6,000 to 7,000 acres of data centers. They're talking.
It will be open to the public, do you think?
No, but it'll be a great place to work.
Yeah.
They're talking, but when you have that many people, so you're going to be anywhere between 500 to 1,000 people out there working, it needs to be a good place to work. They're talking maybe restaurants, different things out there too for those people.
So that's my conversation with Tyler Olsen, the Reeve of the MD of Greenview. And obviously we talked about the gig and we talked about Wondervalley. For this and other great interactions with other people that are impacting our community and persons and projects and businesses, you can go to my website. It's economynow.ca, or you can just Google Mark Street Sold, or find it on Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you very much for the opportunity here today.
Okay, appreciate it.